Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Honestly, I think I like it too much. It all started about 2 weeks ago. My girlfriend and I drove 2 hours away to Roopville, Georgia. In the middle of absolute nowhere, a bone stock true JDM legend was waiting, begging to be built, modified. Which brings us right back to the side of the road with my girlfriend's 2019 vehicle being stuck.
Oh, so your tires already been patched before. Love that.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I don't know how to feel this shit. It's not real. And I know you guys have a lot of questions. Primarily, why?
If you hate everything else, just look at that. Just, it opens the opposite way. You gotta take it. If they're handing it out, you gotta take it just because of that. That's my favorite part, I think.
I have to say that I've always had an affinity for 240Zs, Toyota 2000s, Porsche 944s, pretty much anything from this time period, and pretty unironically, they all look the general same. I came across this find as a kind of interesting situation. I don't want to go into people's business, but it was, if you can get it to move and take it, it's yours. I needed wheels, I needed a battery, I needed gas premix. It's rough around the edges, but this is a classic that I couldn't pass up. And hopefully it'll be something that I can make into a respectable gentleman's car that I'm wanting to sell at a higher price, but if I can't, I'll keep it and maybe it'll benefit somebody else one day. We'll see the price. Again, if you can take it, you can have it. So wheels, I want to say those were about $250 for all four to get them in. Obviously they're rough, but not a lot of people have this car. Not a lot of people have the, I want to say 4x100, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the metrics or the numbers of things here, but I'm new to Rx-7s. I'm new to anything classic JDM, and I want to give it the good old college try and make something cool. So what about the Scion TC? She's right here, quite frankly living her worst life, but define living. I was recording a whole different video for putting the engine back in, but I still haven't released that video because the engine broke. And it fully broke, it's broke. And until we get another one, we can't finish this build. So it's not going anywhere, aside from the fact that it can't drive, but it's not going anywhere. So, Scion is still going to be a project, but it's going to be a separate project. I'm just like my last video where I did the upholstery entitled the Scion project. This is just going to be Rx-7 FB project. And then the subtext will just be whatever I'm working on the car that day. Now, right off the bat, I was all in with this thing. But two key things. Have I worked on a Rotary before? No. This hunk of junk is from 1983, and it's not easy to find parts that you need. So I'm really choosing my battles a little unwisely here, but I think it's going to pay off in the long run. Literally the only reason why I went with it was because it runs. No issues, no fuss. Literally just had to put a fresh battery on it, and it goes. Like, look. Obviously it was just driving, but if you don't believe me, that is very hard to find in a 1983 car in general, even harder in a Rotary. Now, circumstances with my partner, she was looking for a car to get rid of her car payment, and we had been looking at Nissan 300ZXs. Those were getting blown out of proportion for price. We were looking at RX-8s, we were looking at RX-7 FCs, We were looking at different Mazdas. I want to say early 2000 Mazda generations, and we just couldn't find anything. Everything on Facebook Marketplace seemed to be 2500 and up. And if you're getting 2500, it might not run, or probably doesn't run. And if it does run, it's about to break. So that didn't work for us. And we waited. We looked around, and turns out our neighbor, they knew we liked cars. They knew somebody who could be getting rid of a car, and it just worked out that way. And by no means do I need another project, but no one ever needs another project, if we're being honest. First order of business that y'all can see pretty clearly is the paint. It is rough. I want to do a full clean. We already have a guy who's going to paint it. I've already sourced new weather stripping. I've sourced new emblems. That one. We have the gas cap in the trunk. The fender is a little damaged, which isn't too crazy, but definitely want to get that fixed before we paint it. And I've sourced all of that at minimal cost. So regardless of what I end up selling the car for or keeping the car for, I will be way under any sort of budget build that you would see for another car of this era. The majority of RX-7s that I saw, if they were running, they were in the 4,000 to 5,000s. And if they were good paint and running, you're looking at 7,000 to 10,000, some 13, 14 and up. If they're 13B swapped, forget about it. There's no telling what price they'll be. So ultimately, getting this for the price of the battery, wheels, that's really all it was, battery and wheels, which is crazy. I don't know about other YouTubers and their quote unquote barn finds, but the amount of work that has to go into this it just pales in comparison. I'm really looking forward to this build, and I hope you guys are too. Even though it does look rough around the edges, so does the Scion, and you guys are watching that. So trust the process. The Scion is going to get going as soon as we get another lift. It's about $150, $200 to get another lift, but I couldn't pass this up. So I had to spend the limited funds that I have on the side to get this thing going. And it made it an hour and 50 minutes from, what's that town? Roopville. If you've ever been to Roopville, Georgia, far, middle of nowhere, farms, that's it. And this was sitting there on blocks. So if you're ever looking for a classic JDM car and you don't want to pay classic JDM car prices, look in farm towns. They have them, you can get them, and it's not that much work or that much cost. Like I said, first order of business is definitely paint, and then I'm going to be getting a bunch of little odds and ends along the way to make this thing look better. It drives surprisingly well for the year. I've never driven anything this old, but I am impressed. And pretty much everything works. I don't know if you guys can see this in the shot, but we know it runs. The only thing, gas gauge, it is an issue, doesn't work. However, we filled it up with gas and premix as soon as we left the farm and overflowed 7 gallons, I think. So it's good news. There's gas in it.
Now, with all these things in mind, I'm not crazy. I do have a plan. And that's going to be the next video for this car. Hopefully you guys stick around for that. I'm super excited for the build, super excited to make this thing look so much better than it currently does. I'm actually going to show you. All right, just in case y'all don't believe me, I had a plan for a 240Z a long time ago. I want to say 2014-ish, 2015. So that's dating me a little bit. Don't worry about that. Don't focus on that. That's not the important part. The important part, we're going to make it look cool. And like most things, I like black. So this is probably going to be some variation of black, but the end goal is definitely something that looks a little bit like the 240Z, but in Mazda Rx-7 form, obviously. And I might be crazy, I might fall in love, but I think I'm still going to sell it at the end of the day. And hopefully I make a profit. That's the goal. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Jay.
Stay cruising.